the inevitable question. You know, I mean,
are they ever going to get back together?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, is there any possibility? But secondly, much more important, do you think that it's a good idea?
Well, that's another point altogether, whether it'd be a good idea or not. You see, it's strange, because at one period when they're asking me, I was saying, no, never, what the hell, go back, no, not me. And then there came to a period when I thought, well, why not, if we felt like making a record or doing something. Everybody always envisages the stage show. To me, if we were together, at studio again, you know. I think over the period of being apart, we've all thought, oh, that wouldn't be bad, you know. I mean, I've worked with Ringo and George. I haven't worked with Paul because we had a more difficult time, but now we're close, you know.
This is the story of the Beatles reunion album that nearly was, and then hidden from public view.
We must do it because we want to be together as people first, and secondly, to be together for the music.
Over a 2-month period in October and November 1980, after Double Fantasy was recorded, but not yet released, all 4 Beatles and George Martin convened in New York and began planning the Beatles' comeback album, playing each other demos of the songs they wanted to record for the album, and jamming.
We turn each other on again, and sod the critics, you know, I mean, you know, they've got nothing to do with it. You know, the music is the music. If we make a piece that we think was worthwhile, it goes out.
Take one.
Rack my brain. Rack my brain. Till my head's filled with pain. Rack my brain. All dried up.
The band had been discussing the project as far back as 1974, so each member prepared for the sessions with pre-written songs they felt would be best suited to the project. They decided to record a nostalgic album reflecting on the past, but with a modern sound, using the latest recording techniques to create a Beatles album of the 1980s and relaunch them as a band in a new era.
My memories are now all fond and the wounds are healed, and if we do it, we do it. If we record, we record. I don't know. As long as we make music.
The album was to have songs which addressed their own history, which they felt was being distorted.
I think the natural thing for us guys, me, John, George and Ringo, is to think, oh, you know, it'd be great to have something like a Beatles kind of tune this year. So I think each one of us have tried to sort of do a little Beatles tune.
Originally, Ringo was to sing one of George's tributes to the 60s, All Those Years Ago, the other being When We Was Fab.
Well, it was written as a little joke, a little bit of fun. And I wanted to write something that sounded, or that it came from that period when we was fab.
The first song the Beatles played together in 10 years was You Can't Fight Lightning. With the Beatles' wives joining in on backing vocals, the song started as a jam based around a typical Ringo quote, after an incident where he was nearly struck by lightning. And a nod to the inevitability of the band getting back together.
I said you can't fight lightning.
Sadly, none of the tracks were finished, as the project came to an abrupt end in December 1980, when Lennon was murdered. Paul tried to persuade George and Ringo to finish the album, but they refused, and plans were scrapped. It was decided Ringo would have a few of the tracks for his album, Stop and Smell the Roses, released in 1981. Paul and George rewrote the lyrics to their songs Here Today and All Those Years Ago as tributes to John. In 1987, George, Paul and Ringo, with Jeff Lynne as producer, revisited the reunion album tapes with the intention to finish it, but plans were scrapped for reasons unknown.
It is unfortunate Paul's not here because he was the one who had the speech in his pocket.
George released When We Was Fab soon after. In the early 90s, the idea to finish the album was floated again, and so Paul, George, Ringo and Jeff attempted to finish some of John's songs. The fruits of those sessions, Free as a Bird and Real Love, released on the anthology albums in 1995, and the project mutated into a documentary series. Over time, the title, Can't Fight Lightning, has been reattributed to an unreleased Ringo album to hide its existence.
I think the point was that during the Beatles was the only relationship we really had time for. And we tried other relationships, but you know, they'd end in divorce and breakups and stuff. Because you couldn't really compete. No women could compete with the Beatles.
Why did they want it? Do you know?
Why? Yeah, because we all wanted it.
Oh.
Because we'd all grown up a little more. But you know, if you look even through the breakup, as soon as the counting came in, we all gave our best. And that always worked. The music was always important.
No, you can't fight lightning. It's gonna get you.